Welcome to In the News for December the 2nd, 2022. I can't believe it's December already. This is Brett Burney from appsandlaw.com.
And this is Jeff. I also can't believe it's December. Richardson from iPhone JD. I mean, it's crazy. It's the end of the year. My goodness. Wow.
It just reminded me that last week, hopefully lots of folks were able to catch our iGift guide, Jeff. It was so fun. And I got to tell you, I'm already seeing some of the downloads numbers and everything. Apparently, lots of people like the iGift guide from last week. And
I saw some feedback of folks giving their own opinions on it and stuff too. So that's great.
Yeah. It is the season, which is great. Well, let's get started quickly with something that we have talked about several times. We've been anticipating something called Apple Live Activities, right? And these are, I guess I call them widgets. I don't know if that's the right terminology, Jeff, but they would basically update on the home screen. And I've been very excited about this, but I got to tell you, I thought about this the other day. And it was more so I was annoyed because I had a couple of apps that I thought, like, where is this? Like, where was this when it was promised? And at least you found in your post today one app, the Park Mobile app, that I remember you reviewed several years ago, that is taking advantage of live activities now, which is great.
Yeah, it was great because I had parked and used the app to pay for parking. You know, I only paid like $1.25 or whatever it was, real cheap.
Right.
And then I went to go do some business at some stores. And then I went to go pick up my phone just to see how much time I had left on my parking meter. And I expected I was going to have to unlock my phone, find the Park Mobile app, launch it. But instead, as soon as I looked at my screen, I saw right there on the screen, like it looks like a notification, but it's a live notification because it was telling me it was a countdown timer. You have this much time left. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's so useful. That's exactly the information that I wanted. I didn't have to dig deeper to find it. It's funny that the post that you're showing from, 6 years ago was many, many versions ago of Park Mobile with a much more simple interface. It's got a much more advanced interface now. And I especially liked it because, Park Mobile has a monopoly on parking in New Orleans, and I'm sure many of the other cities where it operates. So it's like, part of me feels like they don't need to make the app better, and yet they are. They need to get more cities to adopt it. And so I thought that was just such a great, and the prototypical example of live activities that people always refer to as like a sports score update, because it's something that you don't want to just see the notification that there is a game going on. You want to see who's winning or losing. But this is another example that I would have never thought of. Something like, there's a timer type thing, how much time do I have left parking? And it was really nice that it showed me. And I also thought it was cool that because I have the iPhone 14 with the always on display, when my display went to sleep, so to speak, it doesn't go completely black. It just dims. And so to reduce updates, the seconds no longer displayed, but it still showed me I had like 12 minutes left on my parking. And of course, if I then turned on the screen, it would say 12 minutes and 14 seconds, 13 seconds, 12 seconds. So I'm like, that was a great use of providing a little bit less information that doesn't update. So it was perfect. It was great. And I had some other info in there too, like the zone I was parked in, and even the license plate of the car that I had associated it with, so I can double check it was mine. And it was great. Very, very cool. So more like this. I want to see more.
Let's go.
Apps.
Come on. Apps. I mean, you mentioned the sports scores, which would have been nice. I've just been following a few of like the World Cup matches, but like you said, I've got to open up an app or ESPN app or something like that and go in, unlock the phone. But what I would really like to see is like Uber updates. Like that was one of the examples I think that Apple even gave, or a lot of people.
It's got to be coming.
It has to be coming, because I'm constantly, if I'm sitting there waiting for an Uber or a Lyft, I have to jump in. Now, sometimes they'll put a little notification, but if I tap it, I have to unlock the phone and go into the app and see the updates on there. And it does send some, some notifications every now and then. But I really want to see the live activities. I did some research, and we talked about some of these. Like this was only a couple of days ago on Make Use Of, the 9 best apps that support live activities. And some of these, I don't know that I would be that interested in. Your Park Mobile app didn't make this list on here, but I will tell you the one that did. You had another story about the Flighty. Is that how you say it? Flighty? Flighty app, which I'm going to try. This is an app that basically tracks flights. Which, I mean, there's dozens of these apps in the App Store, and I know FlightAware and some of the others on here, but I have never tried Flighty. But because you linked to the story by Jason Snell, I am going to do this next week when I am going to be flying. This is a really neat, and not only is it a good app, it sounds like, but Jason linked to a really neat trick that you could use it with.
Yeah, what's cool about it is that to have a flight update app doesn't need to necessarily have internet access. I mean, it could just know that you're on a certain flight and that it's
Right.
scheduled to land at a certain time. But of course, what happens if the plane gets delayed or something and
Right.
you're on a plane? So by definition, you're in airplane mode. You'd be, no access to the internet. But what Jason noted is that on many airlines, I know that Delta is one, they have free internet access that's very limited. It gives you free iMessages. You can do text messages, not rich text messages, not like graphics and stuff, but just if you wanted to text somebody and say, I'm in the air right now, but looks like I'll be getting to town in 2 hours. It's nice that you can send and receive messages. And what Jason noticed is that the same network, I guess you would call it, that Apple uses to send and receive iMessages is also what it uses to send and receive notifications. And thus, as a result, even if you're on the air on this free, very, very limited Wi-Fi, you can have things that update the notifications like live updates. So when you have the Flighty app and you're sitting on your plane, you could just glance at your lock screen and you could see, where you are in your flight. I'm 25%, 50%, how long across the bar you are. And if the time that you're going to land is updated, that this will update as well, even if you don't have full internet access. So I think that's pretty cool. I've heard many of the airlines, and Delta included, say that they hope to have a time in the future where Wi-Fi is just free on all airplanes.
Yes, I've seen those stories too.
One day we might get there, but even in the current time where certain airlines are offering more limited internet access for free, it's great that you could take advantage, whether it's the Flighty app or other apps that use live updates. Should be able to get updates for free. So again, going back to the sports scores, I guess in theory, if you had an app that had sports score updates on your home screen, it should work, even if you're in this very limited type of airplane mode type thing. So you can follow. So it's a neat little thing that Jason discovered. So
yeah, and like you said, it's not paying for Wi-Fi. I mean, sometimes the Wi-Fi's are like it's like $8 or $10 for your flight or something like that, which isn't terrible, but the Wi-Fi usually is terrible. It's not like you're going to be doing a whole lot of work on there. But like you pointed out, Jeff, some of these airlines are offering like just limited Wi-Fi or just limited access, to just getting access to the messages so that you can text while you're on there. I'm definitely trying this out. Is it next? Yeah, next week I think I'm flying. So I will report back on Flighty because I'm just so excited to use an app that uses the live activities. Like I want to see more of this, and I know it takes some time, so I'm just being impatient about it. But very good stuff that you link to on there. Good news if you are planning to ride roller coasters anytime soon. Is this the season for roller coasters? I don't really think so. That may be more in the summertime. I remember we talked about this several weeks ago, maybe in this closer to the summer, Jeff, where the crash detection feature on iOS 16, right? And on some phones, I think it's iPhone 14, right? It has to be an iPhone 14 because I know it uses some of the hardware that's built in there. And this is meant for the idea that if you're in a car, you're in a wreck, unfortunately, if you can't get to your phone, that the crash detection feature will pop on and contact emergency services. But somebody found, I can't remember, was it at Joanna Stern, maybe at Wall Street Journal, somebody found that the crash detection would also operate in some cases if you're on a roller coaster. Well, thank goodness Apple has updated this. It sounds like now in 16.1.2.
Yeah, now Apple didn't explicitly say that we're fixing the roller coaster feature, but I think it's a pretty good guess that that's the sort of thing that they are fixing. And it makes good sense that the roller coaster feature, or the roller coaster issue was something that would only, I guess feature. It's something that you're not going to discover that until you have millions and millions of people using iPhones, as opposed to just the few hundred people testing, prototype versions of the iPhone 14. And so I'm sure that there's all sorts of other tweaks that perhaps didn't make the front page of Joanna Stern of the Wall Street Journal that Apple found, based upon real world usage, here's how we can tweak and adjust the settings just to make it more accurate. Because obviously, if you're going to have something that could be life-saving, you want it to be as accurate as possible. So it's good to see that Apple is tweaking this.
Well, happy App Store Awards Day. When was this? Maybe 2 or 3 days ago, right? That Apple, they do this every year, and I think this is absolutely fantastic. Apple it selects certain apps in several categories here. We can just run through them real quick, but they just kind of give this. I think it's an actual physical award that they send, some kind of a little trophy, and then obviously just the awareness that comes from this, right? That Apple has selected your app and all of your hard work as one of the App Store awards. And there were several good ones on here. Although, again, I find this every year almost, Jeff. Some of these I hadn't even really heard of. And I feel like it's like, what's wrong with me? Like, I should have heard of these. But all of these, I think, are very deserving in their own right.
I have the same reaction, Brett, that like there's ones on here. For example, the iPad app of the year is GoodNotes, which I've talked about on just about every episode of the podcast we've had so far, because I use this app every day. I use it for work. I use it for pleasure. I mean, it's a great way for me to take handwritten notes on my iPad. So I love GoodNotes to death, and it's and they're always updating it to take advantage of Apple's new features. Bravo to the team at GoodNotes for getting this award. But there's other apps in here that I had not heard of before, and I'm like, how could this be one of the apps of the year? And yet it's not even something that I had heard about. So, but I guess that's sort of the idea is. You want to recognize people doing a great job so that folks like us who haven't heard of the app can say, oh, I got to check that one out and see what it is. In fact, there was one of the apps on here that you noticed before we started broadcasting that we actually talked about a year ago or a while back.
Yeah. It was a long time. I think this was episode, let's see, I got it, 34. It was at the time it was called Just Lock It, I think. But now is this a widget? So one of the areas that Apple announced was, quote, cultural impact winners, which I just thought was kind of an interesting winners that have made a lasting impact on people's lives and influence culture. And some of these are some really interesting apps that were in here, but one of them was the Lock It widget from Lock It Labs. And so we talked about this, let's see, like I said, in episode number 34, and this is 78 today, which is amazing. But it's one of these, from what I can understand, that even on the home screen are now in a widget component that you could put certain pictures that would appear for family members or loved ones, right? Or your spouse or something like that, that would just send them an updated picture every once in a while, which it was really cute. I remember when we talked about this, it's
such a great idea, because that way, whenever your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife, whoever it is, whenever they look at their lock screen, they just see a new photo on there that you placed there because maybe you or the kids did something cute and you want someone to see it.
Right.
And it's just, the serendipity of them noticing, oh, I didn't even know about this picture. And here it is right there on the screen for me to see it. So it sounded like a cute idea when it came out to you and I, and I guess Apple thought so as well. So that was nice to see them get the award. And
if I remember, I mean, could be wrong, but I thought this was a gentleman that he was like in school. He had a girlfriend that they were separated, by quite a distance, and he just wanted to be able to send pictures to her so that as a surprise, right? And so I just thought it was kind of cool. I think this is him actually on the little.
That's what I like about it. It's not like it's not like you're sending it via a text message. It just sort of shows up, out of the blue. It's as a nice surprise. But
that's really neat.
Yeah.
That's really
but
neat.
There's other cool ones in here too that, I mean, of course, some of the games I don't keep track of the games as much. So, it's nice to see what some of the best ones are. Maybe I'll see those. This one, Wildflowers from Apple Arcade.
Wildflowers. What was that? Was that that's the Apple Arcade game of the year. So that's obviously a little specific. They have an Apple TV game of the year. They have a Mac game of the year and an iPad game of the year. Again, some of these were really cool. I thought this Apple Watch app of the year, it's called Gentler Streak. I think it just kind of tracks, the streak of like your fitness activities, that kind of thing.
But just to pause on that, I'm always looking for great Apple Watch apps. So, the fact that Apple said that this was a good one, I'm definitely going to check this one out and see what it can do. I was going to do the same. I think is it associated with activity monitoring or something like that? I have to check.
Yeah, I can't pull it. It's Gentler Streak, Gentler. I wasn't able to read up too much about that, but it's from Gentler Stories LLC. But yeah, I agree. I'm always looking for something that can take even better advantage of the Apple Watch. So anyway, we'll link to this list in here, and I'm sure you folks have seen it, published around the interwebs. Just really neat that Apple does this every year, and congratulations, GoodNotes. I know you are a big fan. I typically like the Notability app, which is very, very similar to GoodNotes, and both of those are good. If you happen to get a Christmas gift this particular year that involves AirPods Pro, you might be in luck. I mean, first of all, we talked about this on our iGift guide, right? That was last week. That I think, let's see, they may be up in their price now, but the AirPods Pro, which retail for $250, right, from Apple, Jeff, they were on sale for $50 off, at least through Black Friday, if I'm not mistaken. They've now gone up. It looks like on Amazon, they're at $229, so $230. So you're still saving.
So it's still a discount over the Apple price if you buy one from Amazon.
But I know people took a lot of advantage of that. Like that $200 price point was amazing. This is the AirPods Pro second generation that you and I both talk about quite a bit.
But, any AirPod is a perfect gift for, the AirPods Pro second generation would, of course, be the top of the line if you want to give it to somebody as a gift or receive for yourself. But, even the least expensive AirPods are great gifts. And unlike iPhone 14s, which are in very short supply right now, and are much more expensive, this is something that, you can find these in stores. So I think a ton of people are going to be finding these in, stockings and stuff like that. So,
well, like you mentioned, even if you don't get the latest and greatest, and now the AirPods Pro, as we always point out, has the noise canceling features and the transparency, but even the regular AirPods, not the AirPods Pro, but the AirPods, there is now a second generation and a third generation, much less expensive. And those are still great earbuds, right? They just, of course, do not come with the noise cancellation. But if you do happen to get a pair of Apple AirPods for that special someone on your Christmas list, you might want to just round out that gift. What a great story you linked to from Gizmodo. Belkin has now made an AirPods cleaning kit, complete with Earwax softener. So I guess this gets your AirWax or Earwax out of there. I think this is brilliant, by the way, because
I'm surprised it hasn't come out before now.
Yeah. I agree. I found a lot of people, just real quick, would typically use a toothpick, right? A wooden toothpick. You don't want to this is really maybe, TMI, but you don't want to squish all of the stuff, into the AirPods. You want something that will kind of clean it out, and people use Q-tips and, just all kinds of inventive ways. But this is a really neat little idea. I mean, I know I'm making fun of it, but I would get it. Like I have seen, some people that use the AirPods, they could really use a little bit of a good cleaning on it.
Yeah, no, and in fact, the only reason I didn't purchase it immediately is I think it's only for the regular AirPods, not for the AirPods Pro. And I just want to, and I'm sure they'll come out if there is some specific reason for that. I'm sure Belkin will come out with a new version, or maybe Belkin will certify it. But it's only $15, and it's not just like a little tool to scratch, but it actually includes a liquid that apparently, according to Belkin, and Belkin's a respected company that's been around
very respected, yes,
work with Apple, so I would trust them that you actually put a drop in there. And apparently that sort of, not to be gross again, but apparently it loosens up the earwax so that you can then scrape it away and do it correctly. And again, this is not just, it makes your AirPods less gross, but in theory, it should also improve the sound, right? Because you're not blocking the screens. So, this is, if anyone that's been using AirPods for a while, for $15 to be able to get them in sort of an new condition, make them look good, sound better.
Right.
And again, it's only $15. What a great gift. What a great purchase for yourself. This one looks like it's just a fantastic
I know when
idea.
I've had like older AirPods and I pass them down to the kids, right? This is what I do. I go through and
try to clean them. Yeah, exactly.
Just because I love my kids and I don't want them to be grossed out. So I do clean them on here, but I've never had like this, I think, what does Belkin call it here? It's cleaning gel that you can put in. Anyway, just like you said, these are meant to be for the regular AirPods, because I think the, Andrew here from the Gizmodo, he says you can use it on the AirPods Pro, use at your own risk, but they have the AirPods Pro have those silicone ear tips, right? So most of the time, if anything's going to get stuck in something like that on the AirPods Pro, then you can just take the little silicone ear tip off, right? And you can clean it that way instead.
Yeah, I never thought about that. You're right. That's the difference, because it's the tip on the Pro. It's the regular AirPods that it's really just the grill that's touching your ear. Yeah,
exactly.
That's a good point.
Exactly. Yeah.
But even so, if there was a way to clean the AirPod Pro, I'm sure it could use it as well. And just to be a little more specific, it's not only that you use the drops at first to sort of loosen it up, and then you scrape it off with a little brush, but then at the end, there's apparently like a little, what you call like this, the silicone gel, that it sounds to me almost like silly putty.
You're right.
Like you use it to sort of press and remove and just to pull off the debris by sort of sticking to it a little bit and pulling it off. It looks like it's a well thought out
which again, I know product. This is bordering on the gross, but what you're describing is what I have actually seen the Apple Store folks use. Like they have some kind of like it's like you said, it looks like silly putty, and they squish it in, and it doesn't like push stuff in, but it kind of, you know, brings it up with it, like it sticks to that putty. We can probably move on there. But, you know, if you do want to purchase anything like the AirPods Pro or so from Apple directly, this is one of the ways that I regularly recommend that people do it, because one of the things you can do is take advantage of the Apple credit card. I know we've talked about this quite a bit, and I have just been fascinated to watch how Apple has kind of moved into this financial component on here. And one of the biggest areas that they've done so, Jeff, of course, is with the Apple credit card. It's a regular credit card, although to be honest with you, I never use the physical credit card. In fact, it stays at home because I'm always using it only within the phone itself. But whenever I purchase anything from the Apple Store, whether it's online or a physical Apple Store, whether it's an iPhone or AirPods Pro, or even my case for my iPhone, I will use the Apple credit card because, number one, you get 3% back, which is always nice.
As opposed to the 1% for normal. Yeah.
Exactly, Jeff. And it allows me to do an interest-free payments over either 12 months or 6 months or 24 months. It all depends on the actual device itself. The phones are usually 24 months, but I even do this for my MacBook Pros. It's like, it's interest-free, it's automatic, it's on the Apple Card. I get the cash back immediately, but then over time, you know, it just pays, it comes out in my, quote, installment payments. And you can track all of those installment payments in the app as well. And the reason I'm going through all of this is because you had a good link today about how there is a little special that Apple is running promotion right now, that instead of getting just the 3% back, you can get a 5% back if you pay in full, though. That's the whole thing. Like, you can't do this and pay over time. I believe that's correct.
Yeah. So, and it's now through December 25th. So the idea is get an Apple Card now,
right?
Get your Christmas, you know, purchases or Hanukkah purchases, whatever, and you're basically getting a 5% discount off of everything that you buy because you get so much cash back. And I like my Apple Card. It's not my only credit card, but I use it a lot. Again, in fact, I'm looking right now. I've actually, you know, the money that you get back gets put onto your Apple Cash card.
Yes,
and
exactly.
About a year or two ago, I had enough on there that I used it. I'm forgetting what it. I used it towards something I was purchasing. Maybe I was purchasing an iPhone and I had like credit there. And I'm looking right now. I currently have $550 in credit on my Apple Cash card, which is like,
you big spender.
That's like a lot, right? I could actually
that's great.
Buy a substantial Apple product or build it up a little bit more. And next thing you know, I'll be paying for an entire iPhone. So it really adds up, and it's really nice. And I use my card strategically. I don't use my card at a normal dealer, but a normal retailer, but any place that I can get the 3% back, which is any Apple store for sure.
That's right. That's right.
Walgreens, which is the pharmacy that's close to me that I often use. Exxon gas stations.
I do that. Exxon. You're right.
And you mentioned the fact that you don't carry your physical card. Just last week, I was getting gas at an Exxon station, and the little the thing that allows you to do the wireless payment, the wire, you know that you pay with your watch, something like that, wasn't working. And so I was like, okay, so I was still wanted to get the 3% discount. So I actually pulled out my Apple Card from my wallet and put it into the gas thing. And I thought to myself, I actually haven't used the physical Apple Card in a while, but that way you can still get the 3% back from the Exxon stations. And so again, for those stores that you get the higher discount, 3% back is a pretty good deal. 5% back is an even better deal. So I recommend that folks get the Apple Card just to have a second Apple Card.
And I'll quickly piggyback on your Apple Cash thing. I wasn't taking good enough advantage of that until, probably about a year ago or so. I just kind of woke up probably talking to you. I mean, number one, that's how I give the kids allowances now, right? I've got this Apple Cash build up, and I can just send it to them even through iMessages. And that is really nifty on the way that it does that. And then you can use, in fact, this could be an idea. You can actually use that Apple Cash when you are paying your Apple credit card. You can take the payment from your Apple Cash. In other words,
that's not nearly as much fun as me spending on a new product.
I know. I'm just saying.
You are very boring. You are putting me to sleep right now as you say that.
But I use it, if I go out and want to have a cup of coffee with someone or so, you can use, some stores I find don't take that Apple Cash card. I don't know if they see it as a debit card or something different. And then I just use a different card, but I use that all the time, to go out for lunch or something like that. If I'm going to go get myself a treat or so, I don't have quite 550 to spend on that, Jeff. But I'm just saying, I just love it. I've never been a huge fan of credit cards, but the way that Apple has allowed this to work really just is pretty seamless, and it's a very cool thing. So thanks for linking to that today as well. Last is you are always prone to do, which is great, is provide a video at the very end of your post, Jeff. And this one, I am almost a little upset with you because I had to wipe a tear from my eye. It's not that it's sad. In fact, it's such a fantastic video. I just wanted to make sure everybody has a chance to go to your post and
and like they can do so much with it. And you're like, oh my goodness, how do you do that? And it's because Apple's put so much effort into making these features. And then, as you and I have discussed many times before, accessibility features are great for the targeted audience, but they always have trickle down effects for everyone else. And there are times that any of us, I mean, one of the accessibility features featured in this ad or video, whatever you want to call it, is just Siri, and of course the idea that you can talk to Siri is something that we can all use, but it's especially useful if you have limited ability to touch or interact with the screen, the fact that you can talk to it. So it's a great video. It's inspiring. It's even funny. I really like it.
I love it. I'm gonna watch it again 2 or 3 times. It just makes you feel good. It's like, what do I have to complain about, right? To see these people.
Seriously.
Exactly. But to your point, this is the live text. I've stopped the pause of the video on this. It's the blind entertainer. He's a piano player apparently, and he needs to go to the stage. He needs to find the stage door, and so he points his Apple iPhone. It tells him what it's being pointed at. It's a door here. There's a door, and on this door it says to stage. Like, that's live text, right? That's being able to read live text to him, so he knows which door to go to. Just absolutely brilliant. I mean, this ad is just really great. All right, I think we probably push people enough. Just go to Jeff's website, watch the video, and enjoy the day, and you can tell us thank you later on. In the know. So I think I have complained about this as a solo voice, because it doesn't seem like many other people have said that the iPhone 14 to me seems like the battery is not lasting as long as some of my other phones. I'm almost to the point where I'm like, is it just me? Is it just my phone? Now, I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm just saying it's like, wow, I really need to make sure I charge this tonight. So I've just been looking to see if there's anybody else recognizing something along these lines. And I came across, somebody tweeted this out the other day, and I had known about this background app refresh. I think this may have been, a lot of these stories came out that I could see about a year ago or so, Jeff. So I know this was fairly new, maybe with iOS 15, maybe a little bit beyond that. But the idea is, we've talked several times before with stories about, should you close all your apps on your phone or just leave them open, right? I remember famously John Gruber said, don't ever close apps. It's meant to run in the background. It's fine. It's not going to do anything, because once you get out of an app on your phone, it just goes into like this pause setting, as it were, right?
And so 90% of the people in the world don't believe it.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, this is, I don't know if it is a controversial topic, but there are people disputing, one way or the other. You'll find people on both sides, of course, of many things on the internet that, they say what's going to happen or not. But here is one tip that I'm just going to throw out there, not necessarily because I have seen a huge difference in this, but it's something that I just experimented with. If you go into your settings and you go into general, there is a section there called background app refresh. So what this is very useful. For example, if I'm doing Google Maps, right, and I need it to find a way, well, I might want to go check my text message or check an email, while I'm on the road. Well, the background app refresh means that my Google Maps is still working and updating in the background, so that the next time in the next minute when I need to go back to the Google Maps app, I don't have to like open it and refresh it and everything. It's already been updated, if that makes sense. That's the good thing about background app refresh. But if you don't want anything to be working in the background, which I think is a little silly, but you can go in to the settings app. You can turn all of this off, and it can turn all of it off. I wish there was a little bit more of a granularity in how you can do this, because number one, you can turn it off and then it turns everything off. There's a whole list of the apps that can take advantage of background app refresh. Now, if you turn on background app refresh, then you've got a set of toggles for all of the apps that you can individually toggle it on or off, whether you want the app to use background app refresh.
But that might be good for privacy reasons, though. Like, maybe there's a certain app that's like, I don't necessarily want you doing stuff while I'm not using it.
Exactly. Exactly. And this is a good way. So you can turn everything off. And some people I've seen said that if you turn everything off, then you do see a little bit of a spurt in the battery. I haven't necessarily seen that. I wish I could turn all of them off and then only toggle on the apps that I want to use. Does that make sense? Because I mean, I've got a list of like 300 apps. I don't want to go through and toggle all of them off. Anyway, if you turn it on, you can say, I only want background app refresh to work with Wi-Fi only, or Wi-Fi and cellular, right? Because if you have a data plan that, maybe is limited and you don't want these apps to use the data plan, then you can have those options. So anyway, just go into settings, general, and background app refresh, just so that you're aware of it. If you wanted to turn it off, or if you wanted to only turn on certain apps, then you have that capability there. That's my tip for the day.
Oh, cool. That's a good one. I wanted to talk about AirDrop today, not only because it's a tip, but also because it's in the news. So let me start by talking about AirDrop, and then I'll talk about why it's in the news. So AirDrop is an ability that when you have it turned on, somebody else that's in the general vicinity of you, they've got to be within a certain number of feet, they can send you a file, a picture, or whatever, and they can do so without having to connect to any other network. So if you and I are in a room together and I want to share a document with you, a Word document or a picture, I don't have to email it to you. I don't have to get your phone number so I can text it to you.
Or text
I can just, share it via AirDrop. And I see you. If you're in my contacts, I'll actually see your picture on a little circle. And if you're not in my contacts, it'll just have, I think, your initials. But or maybe they're let's see, it would be the name. So the name without the things. But either way, you're showing it on the screen right there. But either way, I can see, okay, there's Brett, and so I'm going to send him this picture, and I don't have to worry about doing any other connection. And it's nice because it sends it to you full quality, versus if I text it to you, if I text you a picture, for example, you never know if it's going to downgrade the quality and change it. And when you do AirDrop, you're sending them the full quality file, so they'll be able to use it. So AirDrop is very useful when you're close to somebody for sending something. There have been 3 settings in the settings app for AirDrop. And one setting is turn off receiving, which means you're not in an AirDrop mode. So people can't share things with you until you turn it on. And that way you don't have to worry about somebody who you don't know, maybe sending you something you didn't expect. Another one, the middle selection is called contacts only. So presumably people that you have a relationship with because they're already in your address book, your contacts. And then the third one is everyone, which means wherever I am, wherever I go, somebody can send me something. And I will tell you, Brett, it's that sounds like, you're, exposing yourself, going naked or something. But I have had the everyone option turned on for years and years. And really, it has been fine. I have found it useful that when I encounter somebody that wants to share something with me via AirDrop, they can easily find me without me having to manually turn it on. And there have only been, I want to say, 2 times in the past 5 years where somebody I did not know asked to AirDrop something to me. I was on a plane once and somebody tried to AirDrop something and I have no idea who it was. So I just rejected it and I didn't get whatever they're trying to send me.
That happened too.
And then I had it just within the past week or 2. I forget where I was. I don't even know where I was, maybe a grocery store or something. And I saw somebody trying to AirDrop to me, and whether they were trying to do something malicious or maybe they were just trying to send it to someone else and pick me by accident, who knows? But I just rejected it because I didn't know who they were. But if you want to be safer, you can keep it turned off. And a very easy way to turn on AirDrop is like, so you and I are talking to each other, we're at a cocktail party or whatever, and you say, hey, Jeff, I want to send you this send you this PowerPoint presentation or send you this picture. I can just go to my control center, which, you get to from the top right of your phone, or if you're on a iPhone 8 or one of the older ones, you pull it up from the bottom and you can just hold down on the top left, which is sort of the network setting that has like airplane mode and stuff like that. Normally you'll see four icons there, but if you hold your finger down on it, it expands and you'll see an option to turn AirDrop on or off. So you can very quickly turn it on, exchange your file with the person, and then turn it back off again if you want to do it that way.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, I mentioned all of this because it's been in the news recently because of China. There's been lots of protests in China recently. And China is famously restrictive on people's ability to interact with each other. They monitor what you send via text message and email and everything else. And so people in China often use AirDrop as a way to share protest information with other people privately, like completely off the grid from the government and things like that. And so it was noticed recently that when iOS 16.1.1 came out, which was like about 2 weeks ago or something like that, that in China, by default, there was an option that every time that you turned on, I can share with everyone, which is the option that I've had on for years now. Instead of having an everyone option, it's now just everyone for 10 minutes. And so the idea is when you get into an anybody can share with me mode, it only lasts for 10 minutes. And at the end of 10 minutes, it gets turned off. And you have to manually go turn it on again and manually turn it on again. And people have always wondered if the reason that Apple unveiled this feature in China is because
it's not
China demanded
is
because China demanded, we want to stamp down this feature. Now, Apple gave a statement to Mark Gurman of Bloomberg recently that said that they are actually going to give everybody in the world this share with everybody for 10 minutes feature later on this year. You say good. I don't know if it's good or bad. And it's unclear to me that when it rolls out to all phones, will people in America have both the regular I can share with everyone feature and then an additional everyone but only for 10 minutes feature?
You're right. Okay.
We'll have to see. I mean, clearly it limits your ability to use AirDrop, which again, for some people might be good. Maybe you really don't like people sending you. I've also heard examples of, I guess, women, it's always been, who like some obnoxious guy wants to send a pornographic picture to them and they try to AirDrop. And so they may say, no, I want to keep it turned off. I'm not going to have AirDrop turned on unless I specifically want to be using it in that time. And that's fine. So anyway, so my point in discussing all of this is to be aware of the options. If you want to keep it turned on all the time, like I have it right now, do that. If you want to keep it turned off, if you want to choose the medium option and only have it always available for people in your contacts, that's a pretty good compromise solution. But just be aware of the feature, and Apple may be changing it in the future. And if you are somebody who is out there protesting your government and you want to be able to share pamphlets to people virtually in a way that the people, the government can't see what you're doing, AirDrop might be a way to do that. So that's just very interesting.
I use AirDrop all the time. My wife and I, that's how, if we want to share like a little URL, or a website or something like that, we'll just do AirDrop instead. Just so people know, and we'll have the link in the show notes as well. You mentioned you got to be nearby, and your Bluetooth and Wi-Fi need to both be turned on. If I think that's correct, right?
I think that's correct.
You need to have both of those turned on, and it works seamlessly. And I even do it between my Mac and my iPhone, or my iPad and my wife's iPhone. I mean, it just really works really, really nice. If you have all that. But I'm so glad that you walked down all of that on the options there. I've got contacts only because, like you, I've had a couple of times where people try to send me stuff and I'm like, you know what? I just want to restrict this. So it's just people that I know.
That makes sense.
It's not that often. The everyone I think is good. But yeah, interesting. I'm excited to see that 10 minutes, but I just assumed in my mind that they would give us the option. I definitely want the option, right? Like I'm going to do everyone and leave it on, or everyone for 10 minutes. Like surely that would be an easy thing that they could add in there. But we'll see what Apple is going to do with that.
Can I just highlight something that you just said? I forgot to mention that, and you said it very quickly, that if you have an iPhone and you are in front of a Mac or an iPad or some other device, and you just want to super quickly get a file from one device to another, AirDropping to yourself on another device, it really is incredibly fast. And so if this is not something that you're currently doing, absolutely, because the alternative is you either have to email it to yourself or put it in like a Dropbox and then download it from the Dropbox and the other one, or all those other solutions, texting it to yourself. AirDrop is such a seamless way to do it. So even I was thinking about AirDrop as a way to share with other people, but you're right, Brett, sharing something with yourself, so to speak, just a different device. AirDrop is perfect for that.
Love it. Good tips. Wow. We spent some good time on some tips today. I like this. So next week, we'll probably be one day late just because of travel schedules, just so everybody knows, but we will talk next week. So Jeff, I will see you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brett. Bye-bye, everybody.